contrary to what random anonymous user 123 will tell you online, there are a lot of upgrades between Marvel Spider-Man, Spider-Man Miles Morales, now leading into Marvel Spider-Man 2. There's almost too many to count, so what I wanted to do in today's video is rally up all the major upgrades between Spider-Man PS4 or Spider-Man Miles Morales and now Spider-Man 2. Let's start off with the obvious one, being that we have new suits now in Marvel Spider-Man 2, at least new base suits. The Advanced Suit 2.0 is quite different from the last time we saw it, but Miles' base suit in Marvel Spider-Man 2 doesn't have too many big changes, just that the red goes all the way down his arms now. And yeah, you can tell from the cover of the game, we have two Spider-Men in Marvel Spider-Man 2 now. I mean, that's part of the reason why it's titled that. And we get to play as both of them in this game. It's also been confirmed that when you're free roaming around the open world, you have the opportunity to switch between them at free will. In the story mode, it's a bit more controlled. It seems that there might be some missions where we get to switch between them, but for the most part, it's kind of on rails. There's going to be some missions for Peter, some missions for Miles. Branching off of that though, both of the heroes in this game have some new abilities now. Peter, with the Advanced Suit 2.0, now has the Iron Arms permanently a part of his moveset. We haven't seen much gameplay, just a little snippet of what it could look like from the initial reveal trailer. Although I could swear that we saw some gameplay with the Iron Arms for Spider-Man 2 in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse of all things. It's too hard to tell though, unfortunately. Miles has also got some upgrades in this game. Now he's got some blue bioelectricity powers, and man, do they look cool. But most importantly, Peter's got the symbiote, and well, it's not just a flashy new suit. You actually get all new symbiote abilities when you're using this suit in the game. And I'm sure you're asking right now, Caboose, how do I perform those super cool symbiote abilities in Marvel Spider-Man 2? And I'm so glad that you asked. You do so by scrolling down right now and hitting the thumbs up button on this video. In all seriousness though, there's some updates to the UI for Marvel Spider-Man 2 that allow you to now look at a wheel for your attacks and for your gadgets. By holding L1 and then pressing any of the face buttons, you'll be able to perform one of the special attacks that you've assigned to that attack wheel. And you can see a lot of that in action from the PlayStation Showcase demo when they were showing off all those crazy symbiote abilities. It looks like the same thing is going on with the gadgets. You can apply certain gadgets specifically to your R1 gadget wheel. This way, you essentially get quickfire gadgets, and you don't have to slow down time and select a wheel of like 1,500 spider gadgets that you want to choose from. This is honestly one of my favorite changes that's been added into Marvel Spider-Man 2, because that way we can just keep the pace of the fight going and nothing has to slow down at any point. There's also a new web strike attack of some kind. If you don't know, in the Marvel Spider-Man games, pressing triangle will allow you to do a web strike, and that zips you to the opponent. If you hold triangle, sometimes you can pull the enemies closer towards you, or if they have a weapon, you can disarm them. If you're up in the air, you'll pull them up with you. It's got a lot of functionality, but in Marvel Spider-Man 2, it looks like we have even more to do with it. As at one point during the symbiote suit gameplay from the PlayStation Showcase demo, Peter web strikes somebody, but then starts dragging them across the ground. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to assist us in a fight. We'll have to see what it feels like when we get our hands on the game, but from what I could tell from that gameplay demo, it seemed a little bit weak. Who knows though, maybe it trips them up, gets them a little dazed and confused, and then that's one less enemy to worry about. There's also some ground bounce type move in Marvel Spider-Man 2. We saw during the gameplay that Peter was in the air and then straight up did a down smash on one of Kraven's hunters. That's definitely something new for the combat. And we got wall kick combos. This was confirmed a long time ago, but we just rediscovered it months later. And it turns out that those wall kicks are contextual depending on where the enemy you're fighting is. If they're close to a wall, you'll start performing the wall kicks if you start tapping the attack button quickly. The more you tap the attack button, the more Spider-Man will kick the crap out of some petty criminal who was just trying to subscribe to this channel and turn on those notifications. And then finally, for combat, my favorite upgrade actually, something that I feel like we really needed in this game, and that is a parry system. As it turns out, in Marvel Spider-Man 2, there are some attacks that enemies will perform on you that cannot be dodged and that can only be parried if you don't want to lose your combo and if you want to keep the fight going. I feel like this was much needed, and this is going to bring a lot to the combat in the game, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing how something like this could play into like a boss battle, because I think one of my least favorite parts about the Marvel Spider-Man games is that the boss battles always ended up being dodge, 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 then attack. Because I mean, how cool would it be if you're fighting Venom and there's going to be moments where yes, you do have to dodge him, but there's also going to be some of those undodgeable attacks that you have to parry. I'm not saying that I like hated the boss battles in the last two games, and I don't think anybody else was saying that either, but I do feel like there was enough feedback that was provided to Insomniac for them to hopefully have listened and upgrade those boss battles coming into this game. We also shouldn't forget that there are some stealth upgrades that have been added into Marvel Spider-Man 2. Now you can shoot web lines, so then that way you can maneuver linger around whatever stealth encounter you're in. And what's so good is that we can finally perform dual takedowns with stealth. There are tons of traversal updates as well. You already know about a lot of them. We've talked about them ad nauseum, but to go over them once again for the sake of this video, you know, the web swinging has been greatly increased in its speed, but also the main one, the kicker, we got Webwings now in Marvel Spider-Man 2. This is going to add an entire new element to the traversal that we hadn't had in the last two games. Not to mention wind tunnels and the way that you can utilize these web wings, sometimes slipping through a train car. Oh my goodness, it looks so much fun. And although I think this is the weirdest discourse that we've ever had for the entirety of the Marvel Spider-Man franchise, it was indeed confirmed by Insomniac that there's going to be new web swinging animations in the game, so shut up about it, okay? Not to mention, right before we see Peter pull out his own web wings within the gameplay demo, I feel like you can see a bit of a glimpse at him doing some air tricks. He comes off of a swing, does a really sweet backflip, and then he rolls into popping out the web wings. And another really fun upgrade to the traversal is now there are opportunities to slingshot yourself across the map. And again, this is to just up the speed. What we don't quite know yet is whether or not you can kind of perform the slingshot whenever you want, or if it has to do with specific points around the map. Based on the way that it was done in that PlayStation Showcase demo, I'm going to assume it's the latter. Slingshotting is going to help you get across the open world in seconds, and while that transitions me into another massive upgrade that's going to be happening here in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and that's to the open world. The map size here is double of what we got in Spider-Man PS4 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now we get to explore some new boroughs in New York. Of course, we got Brooklyn, which we saw a little bit of in that new story trailer. Coney Island, which I mean is a part of Brooklyn, so that makes sense. And then, you know, we saw as well during that PlayStation Showcase demo, we can now fully explore Queens. And as Queens is an explorable area, you can actually go to the home that Peter grew up in, you know, Aunt May's home. It was also mentioned, although you can't really find it now because it was deleted from the synopsis on the actual PlayStation Store, that the Emily May Foundation was something that we can explore as well. Of course, Emily being Emily Osborn, which is Harry Osborn's mother, and then May being May Parker. Some people have speculated that the Emily May Foundation is what Feast has turned into now in Marvel Spider-Man 2, but we'll have to wait and see. And finally, this one's pretty obvious, although again, random anonymous user 123 will tell you otherwise. The graphics got quite an upgrade here in Marvel Spider-Man 2. I can't sit here and tell you that they're a massive leap from the last game, okay? The graphics in this game aren't going to shift the tectonic plates, but this is certainly a jump from what we saw in the last two games, and the graphics do look pretty damn good here. Textures look great, lighting looks fantastic, and the character models I'm a big fan of, especially everything we saw in that story trailer. And we still got a couple more months to go. That was not a final build of the game, so I am really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the game has to show off. And with that being said, now I want to kick it to you guys. What amongst all these upgrades gets you the most excited for Marvel Spider-Man 2? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments below. I've been Caboose, and I'll see you guys later.